December 25, 1991. A superpower vanished overnight. No final battle, no nuclear war, no warning. One moment, the Soviet Union existed, a global force feared and powerful. The next moment, it was gone. How could a nation that rivaled the United States disappear in a blink? To understand that, we must travel back to its birth, its rise, and the world it tried to control. Russia was crumbling. World War I had left the country weak, hungry, and desperate. The monarchy had lost legitimacy. People were angry, starving, and afraid. Then came the Russian Revolution. The Romanovs were overthrown, a new government was born. Equality, workers' power, and a complete break from the past. At its height stood Vladimir Lenin, a man determined to reshape society entirely. By 1922, the Soviet Union existed on paper, but the real transformation began under Joseph Stalin. Stalin's vision was simple: industrialize quickly, build a military, and consolidate power. Farms were merged into massive collective systems, factories sprouted in cities overnight, military bases multiplied. It was rapid progress, but built on fear. Millions died in forced labor, famine, and political purges. Families were torn apart, people disappeared without warning. Yet through feeling control, the Soviet Union became a superpower. By 1945, after the fire and blood of World War II, the Soviet Union emerged victorious, stronger than ever, feared by the world. The world had split. On one side, the United States, on the other, the Soviet Union. This rivalry became the Cold War, a global struggle fought not with open war, but with influence, ideology, and technological supremacy. The Soviet Union controlled Eastern Europe, shaping governments and societies. It was a shadow empire, and the Soviets had achievements that dazzled the world. In 1957, Sputnik 1 became the first human-made object to orbit Earth. The world watched in awe and fear. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin orbited the planet. The USSR seemed unstoppable, but beneath the surface, cracks were forming, the economy was slowing, innovation had stalled, the system that created order was starting to struggle progress. Life inside the Soviet Union was complicated. Citizens had work, education, and healthcare, but freedom was scarce. Travel outside the country was restricted. Opinions could be dangerous. Art, music, and literature were monitored for acceptable ideas. Everyday life was a mix of stability and scarcity. Stores were often empty or stocked with goods people didn't need. Waiting in lines for basic necessities were normal. The government provided security, but at the cost of individuality. People learned to survive within the system, avoiding attention, obeying rules, and keeping quiet. And yet, for all its flaws, there was pride. The Soviet Union had risen from chaos to superpower. It had defeated Hitler. It had launched humans into space. For decades, it seemed invincible. By 1985, the cracks were undeniable. Enter Mikhail Gorbachev, a man determined to save the system by changing it. He introduced glasnost, openness. Suddenly, people could speak and hear the truth. The state no longer controlled every word. Stories of corruption, failures, and past atrocities emerged. The secrets of leaders like Stalin could no longer be hidden. People began to question, to debate, to demand more. Trust in the government, once absolute, began to erode. At the same time, Gorbachev launched perestroika, economic restructuring. It aimed to give the failing economy flexibility. Factories and business were allowed more independence. Private activity was encouraged in limited ways. The goal was to make the system adaptive, dynamic, and alive. But the reforms backfired. The old system didn't disappear. The new system wasn't ready. Confusion spread. Shortages worsened. Price fluctuated. Frustration and uncertainty replaced stability. For the first time, citizens saw the fragility of the superpower they had taken for granted. By 1989, the world witnessed a symbol of change. The fall of the Berlin Wall. A barrier that had divided Europe for decades disappeared. Eastern European nations shook off Soviet control. Inside the USSR, republics began demanding independence. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Ukraine, the cracks spread. National pride, suppressed for decades, resurfaced. The superpower can no longer enforce unity. Even with Moscow, citizens could feel it. The street buzzed with possibility, fear, and hope. The world they knew was shifting, and there was no turning back. A last desperate attempt to reclaim control, a coup failed. Power had slipped away. One by one, republics declared independence. By December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigned. The Soviet flag came down for the last time. The superpower was gone, vanished overnight. What had seemed eternal had ended. Now was war, but with truth, reform, and unraveling faith. The Soviet Union story is warning. Power alone cannot last. Systems built on fear, control, and rigidity may rise fast, but once the people see the cracks, once truth spread, even the mightiest empire can disappear. Glasnost revealed the truth. Perestroika showed the foundation, and together they ended the superpower.